Okay, let's talk about honeycomb. Hello, fellow Novians. My name is Rob, and this is another in the tutorial series. This time we're going to be talking about production and making honeycomb. So I already did a video on fuel. You can go ahead and find that in the DU playlist under industry fuel. So if you're looking to produce some fuel, that is where to find it. For this episode, we're just going to touch on honeycomb production. So first off, I am here at the DSC block warehouse. You can get here through VR by typing in block warehouse, and it should be the first option. Anyway, these guys make a bunch of raw materials that you can use to produce honeycomb if you're just looking to bulk purchase raw materials or bulk purchase honeycomb. So that is an option in this game. There is always a player producing something that you can buy in bulk if you find where they are and who they are. There's also markets that sell a bunch of stuff, etc., etc. So anyway, let's look at this honeycomb. What is honeycomb? First of all, honeycomb is the material that you coat everything with. So this floor, if I hit H, Aged Brown Pattern Wood 3, that is honeycomb. This gray material here, matte aluminum, that is honeycomb. The stuff that you cover ships with is honeycomb. The stuff you build buildings with is honeycomb. So it is the voxel material of your choice. Now, other games just give you various materials. They might give you iron, steel, aluminum, military grade aluminum, stuff like that, and then you just spray paint your ship. But in this game, you actually have to produce each of the colors of aluminum or honeycomb that you want. So let's just look at aluminum for now. I'm going to go up here to the aluminum section, and this is why I came to the BSC block warehouse, because they have all of this stuff lined up so you can see exactly what you want before you go ahead and mass produce this stuff. So if we find something that we like, we're getting some shadows from the sun now that the lighting work is a little bit different since the update. But like this is matte aluminum, painted black aluminum, painted gray aluminum, etc., etc. Now the good thing about producing honeycomb is that you don't need a schematic for each of these. If you have the aluminum honeycomb schematic, you can make all of the material for aluminum. And we'll get to that in just a second. But if we find something that we like, and we say, I like this, polished light gray aluminum, let's go ahead and create a batch of that, right? And polished gray aluminum is what I build most of my ships in, which is this one right here. I just like it, and it's cheap to produce aluminum honeycomb, but there is plenty of other honeycomb materials, and if you get into PvP, they all have their own HP or hit points. Gold having the most hit points, but then steel has a bunch of hit points, and iron has a bunch of hit points, but they weigh a lot. So if you're just making a ship to haul materials, you obviously want to keep your weight down. If you're making a ship to PvP, then go for that weight so you can have better armor, and layering is an option. So I just wanted to point out that this place exists. The way he has it set up is all these elevators go to the specific sections. So if I want to look at iron honeycomb, I can go there. If I want to look at steel honeycomb, I can go there. But just pop up here. Oh, this is all the iron honeycomb. And I will say that the lighting update has kind of foobarred this a little bit now that the sun actually shines through things. So we're not getting a real good accurate representation of what these, well, I guess we are kind of, like this is what it's going to look like when the sun hits it. But it is doing some weird things that it wasn't doing before, because it was just kind of like flat lighting, and I'm sure he will take that into account eventually. But that's iron. I really like how steel looks too, but I won't waste too much time on this place. You can come here yourself and browse around. He's got everything laid out by tiers, and then product, which would be your carbon fiber, concrete, wood, brick, etc., plastic. All right, here we are back at the factory. So if I go into my K menu, which is my nanopack crafter, as I said in my other video, make sure all these are unchecked, so you can use this as kind of a lookup tool. So if I look up, let's say, wood. There we go. Products, honeycomb materials. So if I wanted to build brown patterned wood, you need wood product to make the brown patterned wood. You can click on that. It takes pure carbon and pure oxygen. Pure oxygen is a byproduct of breaking down certain materials. So you can see it is a byproduct of making this carbon. So as we turn the coal into carbon, it creates the oxygen, and then that oxygen can get used to make the actual wood product, and then that wood product gets used to make the honeycomb. So that is a multiple stage product. If we look at aluminum, though, per se, oh, right, it's spelled in the British sense, aluminium. So let's look at aluminum. It just takes pure aluminum. So it's easy to make a large batch of this because it doesn't require you to break down other materials or a ton of spool up time. So like the other one requires you to make the wood first, then the wood into the honeycomb. And that's product. Materials require multi-stages. The same as steel. Steel requires iron and other things. So if we look at steel, and I am on the market, not my nanocrafter. Whoopsie. So let's look at steel, right? Say I want to make dark gray. So I need marrying steel byproduct. How do I make that? Cobalt, cobalt, nickel, and pure iron. So in order to make steel paneling, I need these three and a catalyst 4. So, and that's to make this, and then you use that to make the honeycomb. So while steel is cool and all that, it does take a lot of components to make. So if you want to make a ton of something to coat ships, it's good for accents and things like that. Or if you're making a PvP ship, you know, go for it. But it is going to take you a while, and it's going to take a lot more machines to make what you want, because you have to have a machine for the, let's see. So I would need a machine making pure cobalt. I would need a machine making pure nickel. I would need a machine making pure iron, and I would need a machine making catalyst 4. And catalyst 4 takes all this stuff. So I would also need another line that makes pure iron, pure sodium, pure sulfur, pure fluorine, and is using the pure hydrogen from the byproduct. So that these are all, so there's like 4 machines here, and then 2 machines, 3 machines making these, and then those create the line for the marginized steel product, and then that product would then make the steel paneling. So until you get more comfortable with things like that, I would just say focus on the easy products to manufacture, and if you want to get into high-end honeycomb manufacturing, you know, go for it. Let's now look at the skills that you would need to run these things. As I said in my last video, this would be under industry. You will need the refiner proficiencies to run the refiners. If you're doing anything that requires you to have chemical elements, you would need the chemical industry proficiency. And for this, you also need, where is it? The honeycomb proficiency, which is down here. So in order to use the Honeycomb machines, you need the Honeycomb Proficiency. So that is the skills you use. So now let's look at the production cycle here. So this is your basic Honeycomb refinery. It functions like the other things. You need schematics. So let's go ahead and open this up. We're going to go to the schematic bank. And from my inventory, I've already got the aluminum honeycomb and the iron honeycomb. So I'm going to drag this in here. And now it's in the schematic bank. If we go to schematic selection, we can now see that I have the aluminum honeycomb and the iron honeycomb showing up in the list. So if I open this up, you'll see that it includes all of the aluminum honeycombs. So you don't need a separate schematic for each type of aluminum honeycomb. The aluminum honeycomb schematic covers all of the aluminum honeycombs, and if I open the iron one, you can see same thing, all of the iron. So if you wanted the steel honeycomb, you would need a steel honeycomb schematic, and that would include all of the different steel honeycomb types. So we have that set up. Let's say that I want to make gray aluminum, gray glossy aluminum, not panel, painted. You can also type in the search here, dark gray aluminum panel, galvanized. So let's type in gray to kind of sort that. Polished gray aluminum, right? You select the one you want to produce, you click apply, and now you can see that up here at the top it says polished gray aluminum. It'll tell you the different things about it. Like this has 1,728 hit points per meter squared. It is a tier 1 item, etc., etc. It'll tell you how much one batch will be. So one batch is 180 meters squared. And one batch requires 1,800 liters of pure aluminum. So what do we do now? Well, we need to create pure aluminum in order to make the honeycomb. So I have these two refiners here. So I'm going to use this refiner here. I'm going to go ahead and open my schematic bank. I'm going to drag this pure aluminum schematic in here. Same thing. Schematic selection, pure aluminum, apply. Okay, so now this is going to make pure aluminum, and it requires bauxite. And these are the byproducts. So it's going to create pure hydrogen and pure aluminum. What can you do with this pure hydrogen if you're not using it? Well, you can use a sorter or a separator, and you can have that moved from one container to another one if you're not using the pure hydrogen in this line. Like say I needed pure hydrogen to make another type of pure, well, I could move that to a different container so that those other machines can pull just the pure hydrogen. So like with my fuel line, I need those for fuel, so I could just automatically move that, but that's a little bit more advanced than we're looking at today. So what do I need? I need an input container, I need an output container, and I need an output container for this one too. So let's go ahead and open up the linking tool. I already have my containers here. So this one says honeycomb raw ore. So if I look in here, you can see I've got some bauxite and some hematite here. I'm going to grab this. Well, let me go into build mode first. I'm going to grab this and drag it to the one we just set up. And then I need an output container. So I'm going to grab this and tell it to output to here. And then I need to connect this container to the honeycomb machine. And then the honeycomb machine to another container, my output container. So I have this one labeled honeycomb output container. And there we go. That's all set up. I will drop ores in this one. It's going to send it to these refiner. The refiner is going to make it into pure aluminum. That's going to send it to this container here, which you can see has pure aluminum in it. And then this container is going to send a material to the honeycomb machine. So if I go ahead and hit start, I don't have enough material in there right now, so it would require me to have enough material to actually start. But you can see here my input container is the Honeycomb Pures container and my output container is Honeycomb Output. So that's a good way to check to make sure that your stuff is set up correctly. I'm going to go ahead and stop this because I don't want it running right now. So let's say I also wanted this set up to make pure iron. Iron honeycomb. So that no fuss. So I have this machine right here set up. We'll go ahead and activate it. We'll drag the pure iron schematic here. And we will select pure iron, click apply, and now this machine is set up to make pure iron. And same thing, we're going to go ahead and drag this container to here, this machine to the second container, this second container to honeycomb. Oh, it's already linked, so I don't have to do that again. But that's how we would do that. And so on and so forth. If you wanted to make a different honeycomb material, you would need the machines feeding into the one that the honeycomb machine is pulling from. And obviously you can have multiple honeycomb machines set up in a pattern to make your production go faster or to make different honeycombs. So you could have one machine for tier 1 honeycombs, another machine for tier 2 honeycombs, another machine for wood, another machine, etc., etc. And as I did in my last video, let me go ahead and real quick touch on, I'm going to remove all these links, container hubs. Okay, and if I refresh my link tool, they're all gone. All right, so if I wanted to use a container hub, let's say I wanted to expand this container to some more larges or link more of these containers together, I'm going to go ahead and cut a hole in the roof here so for easy access. I'll just delete that so I can get up here. Okay, linking tool. So I am going to link this container to my honeycomb input, which is here. Nope, that's pickup, which is here. And I'm going to link this third container here, my honeycomb pickup, our output container, to here. And I just have this set up so that I can just drop materials in, and then when it's finished running, I can pick everything up from that container. Now, as I said in my last industry video, these are now the containers. These down here are now irrelevant. You can still click on them to get materials out, but this is now the master container. This counts as the container. So if I go here and I try to link this to the assembler or the recycler or whatever this thing's called, refiner, you can see it's not working. Link shows up, but then it disappears. That is because this is no longer the master container. The hub is the master container. So if I wanted to link these, I would need to go from my raw material box here to the refiner. So we'll link that to both of the refiners, raw material to the refiner, right? And then these refiners both go to this container, which I do not have a hub set up for, but if I did have a hub set up for, I would have to link to the hub and not the container. And then I will send this to the honeycomb machine, and we will send the honeycomb machine to, oh, I gotta link it first. Is it already linked? I already linked this, right? Where's my hole? There we go. Yeah, it's already linked. Okay, so I would need to link the honeycomb machine to this right here. And now everything is set up and flowing. So if I look at my links by holding control, you can see they're all going to the hubs and not the containers, except for this one. And the reason I just don't have a link here is because I don't make enough honeycomb, but if I did, I might have a couple machines just to handle a little bit of overflow, or a couple containers to handle a little bit of overflow. And that's how that works. So that is the basics of honeycomb production, and anything after that is just scaling up and using the same principles to big larger and larger, and use your nano crafter to just see what you need before you go to the market and start buying assemblers and honeycomb machines and recyclers and all of the other good industry things. And that is our video for today. If you liked this video, go ahead and slap that thumbs up button, slap the subscribe button, slap the notification button if you want to get notified anytime I post a tutorial. I thank you for watching, and I will see you out there in space. Stay safe. P.S. I also wanted to mention, the thing about schematics is you have to buy them. They are not manufactured. They are a thing that the game has created. So you have to buy the schematics from a market or trade them from another player, but there's no manufacturing schematics. You have to bite the bullet and buy them. That's all. Thanks for watching.